for this year's Biennale is intelligence in all of its forms, collective and of course artificial. And this project is really looking at a 500-year history of artificial intelligence. We're so frequently, I think, trapped in the present to assume that we're living in a moment that it's completely radically new. But in fact, the technologies that have so much power in our lives today come from a very deep taproot. So this project, Calculating Empires with Vladan and Joler, we really wanted to give this moment a much deeper historical tapestry so that you can see the patterns of how power and technology are always entwined.
I mean, we engage in some really not usual way of representing power. We engage in something that we like to call critical cartography. So we are basically critically examining relation between technology and power. And usually, if we speak about cartography, it's usually coming from the position of power. I say, this is my land, this is my company, this is my whatever. But we do something that's called counter cartography, basically coming from investigating power. And we do this in combination of really deep research. So for example, we spent 4 years doing this one really big drawing. And then we play with different forms of representation, like for example, something that is really precise and something that's a document, but also some kind of form of abstractions, relations between events and different kinds of how those events influence our lives. But also in some kind of really abstract visual representation in form of metaphors. So it's some kind of roller coaster of information, metaphors that span over 24 meters. So basically, even the map looks really dark, and it is basically really dark mapping of power and empires. It also, by doing this kind of blueprint of power, you are potentially providing people a way how maybe to come up with their own political idea or idea how to organize and how to fight the power. So in order, for example, to attack the fortress, you need, it's really good that you have a map. So in this sense, we are providing the map of the empire in order to find a way how to deal with it.
I mean, doing a project like this is almost impossible because we're tracing patterns and repetitions and echoes over 5 centuries. But in doing so, we found some very powerful stories, but I think important lessons. And the lessons are that empires will always use technology to centralize their power as they rise, but they also fall. And so we're at a time in history right now where we need to be reminded that there are ways to actually unwind these long histories of colonization, automation, and of course, forms of enclosure. So this project really looks at those histories in the hope that we can build a different future.